All right, so I know it's somewhat of a rare occurrence that I get to cover some good news on this channel, but I do actually have at least a little bit of good news here because Nina Turner, who is running to fill Ohio's 11th congressional district seat, has taken an overwhelmingly commanding lead. So I'm going to show you some of the polling data here, and we can talk about why this is pretty important. So this is research from Tolchin Research, and they're showing that according to this polling data, Nina Turner is hitting 50% in this poll when the next best, Shontel Brown, is only at 15%, and everybody else is basically indistinguishably falling off at the end there. So this is really good news. I mean, I would be a big fan of Nina Turner filling this congressional seat. Obviously, she's significantly better than Shontel Brown. She agrees with me on basically all of the major policy issues. Now, granted, I get why some people are hesitant to really aggressively get behind some progressive members of Congress who are trying to run for Congress because of the disappointments that we have been seeing from the squad recently, a total rejection of all the strategies that they could use to actually use the leverage that they have at their disposal to accomplish our policy agenda. But Nina Turner, I still, and maybe this is somewhat naive of me, I'm still holding out some hope that she could be one of those changing factors and that she does have some of the qualities and attributes that other members of the squad don't have, and she could be somewhat of a leader in some of these fights. But so I think it could be really important for her to win this seat, and a 50% lead here. I mean, that's just absolutely gigantic. So you see why, because if you actually look at the details of this polling data, she has an extremely diverse voting bloc behind her. She has 52% of the black voters, 48% of the white voters, and you see compared to everybody else, just absolutely blowing them out of the water across the board. So she's clearly able to put together a multiracial working class coalition, and it's just going to be up to those voters to actually show up and put her in office as to whether or not she's going to fill this seat. So the actual information on the election itself. So apparently the primary elections are going to be August 3rd. So if you live in Ohio's 11th district, then get ready for that and make sure that you're registered according to these guidelines. But yeah, the primary elections are on August 3rd, and based on the district that she's actually in, it's a very safe Democratic district. So if she wins the primary election, then she basically will win the general election, at least in theory. So that's the information basically on what when the actual election is. So I mean, listen, this is pretty good news. Again, it's not necessarily going to be a silver bullet. I don't think that we can anticipate that any single member of Congress is going to go in and like save the day and get us Medicare for all or anything like that. But Nina Turner, I do think has some of the leadership attributes that other members of the squad have been lacking and have been, honestly, to put it bluntly, have been cowards in a lot of these fights. We saw them completely refuse to use their leverage on the $15 minimum wage. We've seen it repeatedly where they've had these opportunities to actually do something with the power that they have in Congress, and they just don't really show up to do it. And it seems like the squad, at least, is not operating as a squad, and they're all sort of voting individually, and then when it comes crunch time, they're not forming a cohesive block to then use their leverage to accomplish our policy agenda. But Nina Turner, I think more so, at least than the rest of them, does have some of those leadership qualities. She is a fighter. This was the person who was the co-chair of Bernie Sanders' campaign, who was going on live TV and calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch and leading on a lot of these fights aggressively. And so I hope that she actually brings that to Congress and follows through on that and doesn't just become, folded into the establishment or folded into the tactics of the establishment. So, good news here all around. I'm happy that she's leading in this poll, and go support her. Go support her campaign. If you want to make phone calls for her, I'll leave all of the links in the description below. Or if you want to donate to her, show some support, because I get why people are frustrated with electoral politics, but nonetheless, it can't hurt us to be advocating for somebody like Nina Turner, a potential fighter in the policy agenda that we are trying to accomplish. So go show some love, and this is really awesome news.